And a short time ago, I spoke to Labor's new candidate in Ford, the former Queensland Premier, Peter Beattie. Peter Beattie, a little over 2 years ago, you joined me on this program and I asked if you were keen to go into federal politics and you replied, Lee, I'm 58 years of age. I think that's a little bit too old to make a political comeback and there would be a funeral if that happened. It would be mine. I think my wife would murder me. I have no interest in going back into politics. Well, you're even older now and you have the same wife. What's changed?
It took a good bottle of red wine and a lot of soft talking to convince my wife to change her mind, but fortunately she did. Kevin rang me a few nights ago and we talked about whether I'd be prepared to run. I agreed to do that. One of the things, Lee, that worries me is balance. I mean, I know we're talking about a federal election, but in Queensland, and this is one of the things that convinced me when I spoke to Kevin, is that in Queensland you've got an LNP government where there's only 7 Labor members out of 89. Brisbane City Council is a Liberal National Party government. If Tony Abbott wins the federal election, you're going to have wall-to-wall Liberal National Party government. So where do you go if you're unhappy? And as the old Democrats used to have this slogan, Don Chip, years ago, you've got to keep the bastards honest. Well, you've got to have some balance to keep them honest, and that's why I agreed to run.
Are you really prepared at age 60, after being Queensland Premier for a number of years, to serve on the Labor front or back bench in opposition in Canberra?
Look, when you commit to run, you run. And, you know, I think one of the benefits of being in government for some time is you learn. And you learn from your mistakes, you learn from the good things you do. And that's one of the, I think, things that I can bring. On
numerous occasions in the past, you've said that if Kevin Rudd replaced Julia Gillard as Prime Minister, it would be pointless because Labor wouldn't win the election. What has caused you to change your view on that?
Look, in the past, I've had my criticism of Kevin. Everybody knows that. The one that you referred, that quote that you referred to is absolutely accurate. One of the things that impressed me in the call from Kevin a couple of nights ago is that Kevin was prepared to put aside our differences, put aside our history, and put Australia first. But
at one point you thought that Kevin Rudd would not be able to win the election if he took over from Julia Gillard and replaced her.
That's true.
So why have you changed your mind on that? Now you think it is winnable?
Well, because circumstances have changed, the polls have changed. I think the exit of Julia Gillard from the political scene was done with dignity, it was done with respect, and I think that has assisted the Labor campaign. At the end of it all, the political polls speak for themselves. I do think we can win, but I think we've got a really tough fight. This is not easy. I think Tony Abbott's got his nose ahead, but I think we can come back.
Do you still believe that Kevin Rudd has a propensity for self-destruction, as he wrote in September 2011?
Look, I think we all do. One of the important things that Kevin, I think, has done is learn from those experiences. We all learn from them. The important thing is that we grow as we do it. I've been out of public office for 6 years. I learnt from my mistakes. I think Kevin has, and I think he's better for it.
You have also written, again, a couple of years ago of Kevin Rudd, that no one should ever forget the damage he has done. Have you forgotten it?
Look, I think the important thing is this, and yes, I did write that, you're right. But what's important is that Kevin was prepared to put all that aside. And he showed real leadership by forgetting about all the arrows or slings and arrows of outrageous fortune and think of what's good for the government, what's good for Australia.
But I just wonder if it's prudent for you to put that aside, given some of the concerns you've raised about his behaviour in the past.
Look, I think that, bear in mind, if you like, the common sense and leadership that Kevin Rudd showed, I was prepared to respond in kind, because I think Australians, just as I said before, Lee, they just had a gutful of warring, squabbling politicians who've got nothing better to do than backbite. Well, Kevin showed he was prepared to put that aside. The differences we've had over a long period of time. And I would have been pretty petty if I wasn't prepared to do the same thing.
As pretty much a lifelong member of the Labor Party, are you...
I am a life member of the Labor Party.
Are you comfortable with the party's current policy on asylum seekers, the decision that anybody who comes here via boat, even if they're a legitimate refugee, even if they're a child, will never be settled in Australia?
Look, can I tell you what's always worried me about refugees, and that's queue jumpers. I mean, there are a lot of very genuine refugees out there who are seeking to be processed in the right way. And I've always felt concerned that we've had people smugglers who have been trying to use people, some of whom have been coming here for commercial reasons, and that's fair enough, or economic reasons. I understand why people would want to do that. But to jump the genuine refugees who have been waiting in process, I've always had a problem with that.
So you are comfortable with that policy?
Look, everybody, and I'm one of the people, of course I squirm about it. Of course I think, oh, I wish there was a better way to do it, but I can't think of a better way to do it. No, I don't like it, but I can't think of a better way to do it, and it's the right policy.
Peter Beattie, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Lee.